Hey, residents of Meepletown, the year is 1977.
Man, the 70s, baby. Come on, let's go.
And we're going to live on the moon. We've made the decision. We're just going to go for it. So that's what we're going to do
I love
today.
that theme.
We're building up our capital on Luna Capital. Let's get to the table and check it out. Here is the setup for Luna Capital, and this is going to be the main board where we're going to be drafting from one of these different columns right here. We are going to be, when we do that, we're going to be taking a card along with the construction card, along with the project tiles that go along with that. We each also start off with 3 of the construction cards. I'll explain how all that plays out in just a minute. And we each have our own player boards. These are going to be our tokens that are going to go onto the concession cards if we complete those objectives. So I'll just jump into it and kind of explain how this essentially plays out. So on your turn, you're going to be drafting and you're going to be taking from one of these different columns. And again, if you take a construction card, you also are going to take all the project tiles that go along with that. So right now, there's only 1 on each of those, and that will gradually get more and more up to 4, as you'll see. And so how this works is after we draft that, we're going to be placing these cards into our area. We can have 3 different rows and they can go as far over as we want them to. But the issue is, if you see that number in the top left-hand corner up here, it's going to have to go in ascending order. And so really right off the bat, I'd love to be able to get this 1. But this 2 would be pretty acceptable too. Now the problem with getting this 1 is, as you can see, there is this last turn marker, or whatever that's called, and that's going to go whenever an area gets drafted. This token's going to go into that spot, and at the beginning of the game, it's going to go into this first column. Meaning, if I want to take these right here, I'm going to have to discard a card, and that becomes pretty problematic because you want to have a good selection of cards in your hand, and they're also worth points at the end of the game. So I think I will pass up on this, even though I look here and I see there's lots of different types of project tiles, but this is one that is one of the vital systems. This one specifically is I believe a hydrogen collector, something like that. It's got the symbol up here. Now, this one is valuable because up here, if I have 3 of those, I'm going to get 7 points if I'm able to put my marker on that card. And also, you're going to get points for the amount of these that you have in your largest area that are connected. But I think what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and take this card and this tile right here. So this card's going to go into my hand, and I will need to play a card now. And again, I have to play in ascending order at the beginning. You can put whatever you want, but you probably want to put a lower number card out there. So I will put a 3. Let's see. Yep, I'll go ahead and put a 3 out there. This is going to have a meteorite on it. This is the first player marker, by the way. I'll just kind of move this to the side. This is going to have a meteorite on it, which kind of blocks up the different areas of your cards. But at the end of the game, whoever has the most meteorites in their building area is going to get a bonus. In a 2-player game, that's going to be 10 points that they'll get. So you'll place a card, and then you're going to take all the tiles that you just collected, and they're going to go directly onto that card. And so I think what I'm going to do, let's see. What I'll do, again, you're going to be building 3 different areas. I'm going to put this one kind of down a little bit so that I'll be able to build up right there. And most of the time, nothing's going to happen, okay? When you're placing your cards, you're basically just placing them, tiles, excuse me. You're basically just playing them so you can get points at the end of the game. But with this one, I don't know if you saw it on there, but there's this little symbol on here. I don't have it on auto tracking right now, but you can get what's called a selenite robot, which are over here. I'm going to take this and put this on my card. Now, what this will allow me to do later in the game is if I want to play a card that is equal to or less than what the number is on the card before that, I will be able to do that if I play this robot over top of that. It just basically blocks that spot. So that's nice to have later on in the game, especially as the game continues on. So now what I'll do, that's my whole turn. That's all you're going to do. You're going to take that and you're going to put a new construction card out here. Then you'll take a new tile. And then along with that, I'll explain that in a minute. After hypothetical John takes his turn. Ooh, John started off with a terrible hand. This is really, really bad. I did not stack his in a poor way, but he has 10s across the board, which means he's not going to want to use these at all. So anything he can do to get lower value cards out here, he's going to want to. Thankfully, the card he wants is right here anyway, so it didn't matter that much. And probably he'll be able to get lower cards as the game goes on. But he's going to take this card because it also has a greenhouse. And if you get sets of greenhouses, that's going to give you victory points at the end of the game. You've got, I think, lemons, pears, apples, and then a wild. And so a set of 3 of those will allow you to get victory points, again, for how many sets you have. So I'll put that out there. And let's see. I'll try to keep these separated a little bit. So I'm going to put this right here. And again, nothing's going to happen there. It's just points that he's collecting for the end of the game. Ooh, that's unfortunate for John that another 10 came out because there's only 2 9s and a 10 and a 2. So he's really, really going to want that too. All right, now a new tile's going to come out there. Now what happens now that it's come back around to the first player again, what we're going to do is we're going to take tiles and put them out there until we now have 2 out there. So basically how this is going to work, you're kind of playing through you're kind of playing through different seasons, but this is the second round of this season. And then at the end of this, you'll play through actually 3, I don't think it's called seasons, I think it's like phases or whatever, but you're going to play through 3 total phases of the game of 12 different, of 4 different tiles that are going to be out there. So now it's back over to, back over to me, and I did move this back over. Now for me, I don't know if I care as much about having lower numbers. That's not as important to me. What is more important is having tiles that I really want at this point. Because again, I've got 3, 5, 6. Those aren't terrible cards. So I think what I'm going to do is I might jump over here and grab... Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna grab this one over here. And actually, this is going to be one that John... Ooh, yeah, I'll take this one. This is going to be one that John would actually probably prefer to have, because one of these tiles is going to allow you to draw another card. So basically you're going to draw 3 cards and then you're going to keep one. Now why that's important is, again, points at the end of the game for having extra cards, or for having cards at all, but also because John has such high cards, he's really going to want to try to have all options available to get the tiles and cards out there that he needs. But alas, that is not going to be what happens for him. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to put this one out here. This is another 3. I'll put this on top. And I got to find a place to put these different tiles. Now this one, again, I'm going to want to keep close to this one because now I have 2 consecutive ones. And let me go ahead and pull the book out and show the scoring pad out here. Let me show you a fresh page because I don't want to embarrass John with all the wins that I have on there. But this basically shows you that if you have a certain set of these, a certain amount of those types, then you're going to get points. So right now, one of those by itself is only going to be worth 1 point. 2 is going to be worth 3 points. So all the way up to, if you have 10 consecutive of any of those type of tiles together, then you're going to get a total of 40 points, which is a lot of points in this game. And then this one, I kind of want to keep out of the way. I don't really care anything about this tile. So I think I'm just going to tuck it down here. And now I'll draw my 3 cards. And out of these, I'll decide which one I want. Ooh, this one's going to be really helpful because, again, it's another one of those hydrogen collector cards. It's a higher number, but I think that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and keep that one, and maybe that'll help me a little bit later. Now, you can't just focus on one of those different types. You also need to be able to do the water and I think it's a water condenser, and then the oxygen, whatever that one is. So the oxygen building the system or whatever. You get points for all of those different sets. So if I just focus on this, I'm going to be missing out on those other ones. But what I really need to do, I'm going to go ahead and change this just so I can show an example here in just a minute. I'm also kind of looking at this card up here to see, hey, I can get 7 points if I have one of those on each of the different columns in a row. One of the different rows. There we go. So then a new card's going to come out. We're going to put 2 new tiles out. This is going to be back over to John. And again, John is really needing low numbered cards. So he's probably not going to take this one because it's a 10. The problem with it is he would really love to have this one because it has this is a HAB building. And what these buildings do is they're going to give you points. And so this one's going to give you 2 points for all of the surrounding hydrogen buildings that you have around this building. And that's probably going to be one that I pick up because, again, John's not going to be able to do that probably. What John is really going to want is, again, a lower number card. And I think I will go ahead and take this one. This is actually a good card for John to have. So John's going to take this and put it out here somewhere. I think I'll go ahead and put it down here. And again, I'm going to have to place these different tiles. So I'm just going to place this one right here, right here. Yeah, let's do right here. And then this is a sales office. It's got this little money sign up here. And that sales office is just going to be worth 2 points at the end of the game. But the other positive thing is, again, one of these cards right here is going to allow me to get 8 points if I have 4 of those built out into my tableau at some point during the game. I'll be able to claim that at the end of the round. So then, again, this moves over here. Not sure if I've been doing that the whole time. Hopefully I have. And that's going to go there. And we'll put 2 tiles. Now that it is John's turn is over and it's back to the first player, then we'll put another one out there. Now, let me explain this. That's actually the last turn I'm going to play. I'll explain a few more things here, but the good thing is you're getting a bunch of those tiles, to put out on your board, and that's going to give you victory points, all that sort of thing at the end of the game. The game is all about scoring victory points based on how you put the tiles out into your area. The problem is, as we get more and more of these tiles, especially in that first round, it's going to get pretty packed. Okay, you're going to have to fit all of those. So now I put one more card out there and I'll have to fit 3 of those and then 4 in that last round. So it's really going to be tight, and that planning becomes very, very important. Again, especially during this whole first phase, because that's you're going to have less cards out there at that time. Okay, so let me explain how scoring works and if there's anything else that I missed. These tokens right here, so these are the logistic redistribution tokens. So some of the tiles have this symbol on there. Once you put that tile into your board, you can keep this here, and then later on in the game, before you start your turn, you can swap 2 of your tiles around, and that becomes really helpful too. There's also ones on here that allow you to build over top of them, so some that will let you destroy tiles or spots on your cards that are out there. And then having these scaffolding tokens allows you to place buildings specifically on top of that. And buildings are the ones that are usually the victory point ones that have that little yellow building up at the top. Those HAB mods. Okay, so how the game works, again, you're going to get points for contiguous lines, the contiguous areas of your oxygen, your hydrogen, and your water little vital systems that you have there. Also your greenhouses, for all the greenhouses that you have in the areas, they work the same way. But on top of that, you also are going to get these victory points for the amount of the sets of those different greenhouses that you have. So again, if I have a pear, an apple, and a lemon greenhouse somewhere in my area, I'm going to get points. I think it's 5, 12, and something. It's not listed on here. It's listed in the book. It's very clear. All that's laid out really well. Then you're going to get points based on who has the most meteorites. So in a 2-player game, again, that's a 10-point shift. And so you can't just let that slide. You have to really kind of pay attention to that. Sales office is going to give you 2 points. Then you're going to get points for your HAB mods, and those work in different ways. Sometimes you get points for buildings that surround it, like this one. Sometimes you get points for having a point for every sales office or something like that you have. Then you're also going to get 3 points for every card that you have in your hand, and then you're going to get points for these if you've completed them. Now, if I complete this one at the end of the round, I put my marker on there. And John can also put his marker on there. Unfortunately, if later on in the game John completes that, he will not be able to put his marker on there, so he'll miss out on those. So you really have to keep an eye on these because, again, that's a lot of points. And then at the end of the game, you add up your points, and that is going to determine who's going to be the winner. So let's hear what John and I have to say about the art and components. Okay, so that is the gameplay. Let's talk about the art and components. What you think, John?
I think the art is fantastic in this game. What do you think? I think it's cool, dude. Like it's got that 70s theme, and then you got like corporations or whatever called like Astro Burger, and it has this like vibe of like 70s kind of vibe, but it's on the moon. It's got cartoonish art that looks sharp. Got the rocket ship that you can place your tiles in. The tiles are thick. It's nothing but good things to say about it. Yeah,
I think the rocket ship maybe harkens to another rocket ship that recently went up by the owner, the CEO of Amazon, maybe a little bit. But I'm with you. I think the vibe of the game is really well done. I think there's a lot of things done in this game, a lot of nice details that didn't need to be added in there. Like you don't really need a holder for those cards. You don't even need a holder for the tiles.
You guys talking about the holder for the tiles.
Yeah. But
I'm talking about the holder for the tiles.
Yeah, I was. So now in the box, there's also this storage container, this like cardboard piece that holds all the tiles in place. It's really nice. I like how it's done. The problem is there's no bottom on it, and so that will never leave the box. And so I have a few things like underneath it in the box, and then I have that sitting on top, and then I just pull the tiles out. It would have been nice if that had a bottom to it, so you could pull the whole tray out.
Yeah.
But honestly, at the end of the day, it's not that necessary in the first place.
They could have also put all the tiles in a plastic baggie, and you have to deal with sorting through them as well.
That's right. And some
better
people,
than the other, but not as good as having a bottom.
Although some people might prefer to just throw them in a bag, but that's neither here nor there. But overall, for what you need in the box, I think the components are really well done. Now,
is the game good?
Is the game good? Let's see.
I guess I'll start it off.
All right, go for it.
Yes, the game is good. So the things that I like about the game, I believe the most is you have the cards that you're laying out on the table, and you're picking that in conjunction with the tiles. And there are times when you're going to want one or the other bad. You may like that there's 3 tiles here I love that's tied to this card, but I hate that card number. I don't want that card number. But oh my gosh, I really want those tiles. But over here, I kind of like the card number and I kind of like the tiles.
Yeah.
So what do? Do I go for the ones I kind of like or the one that has a big dichotomy, but I love those tiles? I think that is like that crux of the part of the game is really, really cool.
Yeah. I'm totally with you. I think that there's a lot of interesting decisions in the placing, like what you're going to take, as well as where you're going to place those on the board, because the placement really, well, I was going to say is everything, but the drafting is everything, but also the placement of those tiles is super important because you have to plan really well in this game. The problem is the board isn't fully laid out for you where you can place those tiles, and so you can only plan a certain length ahead, and I really think that's interesting because...
And you can look at the cards in your hand and think, I could place that there.
You can, but there's not perfect information. And,
that's right.
And I love that. I'm thankful that there's not. If there was, I think that placement wouldn't be as interesting. But you're having to build out the board as well as the buildings, and I just find that a little more fascinating.
No, I agree. That's why there's that push your luck element in this game. I think I'm going to place these contiguously here, but if I don't get the right card, then I can't go anywhere else if I put this building here.
Yeah.
But this building scores me points for this, and I need to put it... you know what I mean? So you're constantly going, should I do that? Should I not do that? I think that's really cool. I also really like, Dean, how this is like a 30 to 60 minute game, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick, pretty peppy game. And there's a lot of those kind of crunchy decisions because there's so many ways to score points.
Yeah.
And it's got some really cool things in that. Even with the asteroids, who has the most asteroids scores 10 points. You have that interesting back and forth of, okay, I've got 5 now, he's got 4. Is he going to go for more? Should I just let him win and focus my attention on something else? Should I take that card because it has an asteroid? I don't love it. But you know what I mean? You got that. You have the contiguous lines. You have the set collection piece. You have the buildings that can score you points based on the position that they are or how many you have. And
then with... I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, and all that together is I feel like there's just so many ways to score points. Even when I'm not feeling like I'm getting the tiles I want, I feel like I can make things work for me to score points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think you want to get all of those things that really benefit you, but you can't not pay attention to what the other players are doing,
Yes.
which means at some points, you talked about push your luck. At some points, I might say, I cannot let you have another one of these water
hate
condensers, or air purifiers or whatever. I can't let you have that anymore. So I'm gonna have to hate draft and hope that the thing that I actually need is still gonna be there when it comes around to my turn. Because if it's not, then that's going to
Then I
stink.
might hate draft it back at you.
Yeah.
Fine, you take that from me, I'll take this from you.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting as well. So all of those things really come together in this really tight package that all just works really well together in a pretty simple to play game, but the decisions become more complex, which is kind of what we're seeing from Devir Games. I mean, that is kind of their thing. Let's make this quicker game with pretty simple gameplay, but grueling decisions in that, which tends to be some of my jam.
Me too.
I really like those games, and
I love what Devir is putting out.
Yeah.
Like there are certain. I said this to Dean on our podcast today. There are certain publishers that they make solid games every time.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain ones that don't resonate with me. This is borderlining like really good. Like every time they come out with a game, like it's not just like, yeah, it's a solid game. It's like I really like that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I look forward to everything right now that Devir is putting out. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, me too. So let's get to our final thoughts then. All those things. I really enjoy the drafting. I enjoy the planning. I enjoy that as you're taking more tiles, you start off with one, and then at the end of that phase, you're going to be taking 4.
You got to figure that out.
You got to find out where you're going to put those things. And if I didn't plan well, or if I didn't plan well with the numbers on my cards, then I'm going to have to put one over and have even less places. So
That's right.
I love that planning and how all of that comes together. I really enjoy this game. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10, which means I'm probably not going to turn down a game this at all, and I'm going to recommend this because I just think it's becoming one of my favorite tile placement, city type building games.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yep. All that Dean said, plus those really grueling decisions about how the drafting works, is just so brilliant. So many ways to score points. What's the most advantageous way, or how am I going to score the most points? So fun. Smallish package. I mean, look at this. Like a smaller box, not super huge, in a shorter time frame. 8 out of 10 as well. I almost gave this 8.5. Like, this is really good. I could see, like, if they had some expansions, maybe some more corporations that, like, maybe there were, like, player powers or different things like that could really even amp this up even more. But nonetheless, I don't care.
Yeah.
I really like this game, and would not leave my collection if I had it. That's for sure.
And you don't, because it's mine.
It's true. I'm bummed about that. A little sad. I got a little tear. A little sad.
So that is an 8 for me.
You keep snaking up all the Devir games.
And 8 from John. We both really enjoyed this game. Tell people how they can get in touch with us.
If you're enjoying our channel, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to support what we're doing, you can go to patreon.com/MeepleTown. We're at Meepletown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we're Board Game Geek Guild 3407.
Thanks for coming down to Meepletown.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our Patreon supporters for making content like this possible. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/Meepletown. To follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, find us at Meepletown Games. Finally, to connect with us and other residents of Meepletown, you can join Guild 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com. Until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.